Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Rose City Center's Room to Bloom, our online space for petite presentations and conversation. I'm Mary Maleka. I'm the Executive Director of Rose City Center, and I want to encourage you to visit our website, rosecitycenter.org, if you're interested in therapy or want to learn more about our clinical program or wish to make a donation. Today's topic is how to write a holiday card to someone who is grieving. And our presenters are Dana Marisa, author of the Condolences Pocket Guide and founder of the Be a Bridge Condolences Project, and therapist Angela Wurtzel, who both serve on Rose City Center's board of directors. Today, we're going to help you learn how to write a holiday condolence message, whether it's a card, email, or text. We'll do a three-step process to access your own personal style and words, and you'll get some writing tips to help overcome any jitters about writing. There will be plenty of time for Q&A. Thank you, Dana and Angela, for sharing with us today. I turn it over to you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary.
So as a start, just to establish what we're doing here, this is to help each person who attends learn how to help a griever. This is not a grief support group, and I would imagine that everyone here has something they're grieving over. And for the next 45 minutes, we ask that we all put that aside. And instead, we're going to focus on how to help someone else. So take it away, Angela.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at my outline that Dana wrote, but basically, we're here to support people in reaching out to the griever during the holiday and try and understand what grievers are going through.
Yeah, so um, we something that I found when I was grieving was that I couldn't do my half of a relationship.
Mm,
Um, you kind of expect parity, and I had zero. I had
mhm,
nothing to give. What would you have to say, Angela?
mhm. Well, I think one thing that someone who is grieving might be going through is that they want contact and that they want to be remembered and they want the person who died to be named and to be remembered. I mean, I can't say that across the board, but from my experience and from people that I've talked with, that who whoever that person was, they don't want that person to be forgotten. Um, and the holidays are a time of gatherings and a time, I mean, even if you're not grieving, you can feel alone because, you might have you just might be alone. And so if you are grieving on top of that, there's a divide between what's supposed to be happening and what's really happening inside.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Mhm,
put really well. That's why I founded the Be a Bridge Condolences
mhm,
Project, because there is this gap between the way grievers feel and the expectations of their friends and family. And
mhm,
so, and because of what I said earlier about grievers are working their darndest to cope with the grieving process, which can be so demanding and scary and frightening and isolated, that that's why it's up to us to bridge the gap. If
mhm,
we wait for them, it's just not going to happen. And it doesn't mean they don't want it to happen, it just means they can't do it.
mhm.
So, um,
I think it's a good time to say, like, there's things besides just the death of someone that people can be grieving too, which we touched on last time. And also if anybody here has any specific things or losses other than a death that they are thinking of reaching out to someone who is grieving, like the loss of, in Los Angeles, a lot of people lost their homes to fires, and this will be the first holiday season since that, and that's just been really on my mind. Um, just how impacted our community, very, Rose City Center in and of itself too was very impacted, and a lot of people that we share everyday contact with it. Restaurants, coffee houses, movies, all kinds of places, and just like not even just people that we would necessarily write a card to, just to be aware that like people that we come in contact with regularly could be grieving all kinds of losses,
Another
jobs.
one that
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think a personal favorite
Hmm.
of mine, because it's what I've gone through, is long-term illness. It's
Mm,
very isolating, and it's not because we feel antisocial or I didn't feel antisocial. It was the restrictions placed on me by my illness. And so I would say a card is totally appropriate for
hmm,
any type of loss. If someone had sent me a card and said, "Thinking about you, I know you're not feeling well. I'll give you a
hmm,
call soon," or text, anything, I would have felt seen and heard and understood. So,
hmm.
yeah. And while we're on this holiday, what are some other holidays where you're thinking your grieving person might be affected as well, besides, the year-end holidays? Anyone thinking of any, Heidi?
Uh, Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
Hmm, hmm,
yeah. To,
hmm,
s- yeah, to be able to send a condolence message on Valentine's Day you would probably be the only one thinking of that. And if someone had done that for me, it would have made my whole week.
hmm, hmm,
Yeah. Any other holidays? Yeah, Mary?
Yeah, definitely the loved one's birthday and the anniversary of their death.
hmm,
And your own birthday, the person who's left behind, their
hmm,
person who always celebrated their birthday is gone. So who's going to celebrate them now?
Mhm.
So that's important too. And also to remember that for the first year, for sure, for a significant loss, you have an anniversary every month. Oh, it's been one
hmm,
month since they died. Now it's been 2 months.
hmm,
So I mean, 12 cards a year would be an awesome thing,
hmm.
because they're struggling on those days.
Hmm.
Okay, well,
It's
go ahead.
it's such a dynamic, when you were talking about the person left behind and how then they're not celebrated by the person that died, or it's such a dynamic process. It's not just about one person. It's about so many different relationships, and relationship to the losses too, and so if we're talking about like homes, or even like capability, when you're talking about illness, like there's like constant reminders of a loss all the time.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, thank you.
mhm,
So I know there's a lot of other holidays, but in the interest of time, um, so let's get into the how we actually write these messages.
mhm,
So when I was researching my book, Condolences Pocket Guide, I interviewed a lot of people who are grieving and a lot of friends and family, and there were two responses that came up. One was, I'm not a writer, so I can't write a message. And the other was, even if they weren't planning on writing something, just saying something, people said, I'm not good with words. I don't know how to do this. I don't have the right words, is what I heard a lot. So, to, and what I would always say then, and I'll say now, is there are no right and wrong words. There's accessing your own words, and that's where the difficulty lies. And when we're concerned about right and wrong words, we're actually concerned about the griever's response. Oh, they'll be mad, they'll be offended. And we have to acknowledge that we have no control over other people. All we can do is the best we can do, and that's plenty. That's good
Mhm.
enough. So let's start with the I'm not a writer. And
Hi, Edith.
hi,
Hi, Edith.
Edith.
Welcome.
Hello,
Welcome.
hello.
Welcome.
Okay.
So let's start with the concerns about, oh, I'm not a writer. I couldn't possibly write a message. And I worked as a writer my entire career and would write, would teach business writing classes in the companies where I worked. So there are a few little tricks of the trade that seem to be helpful to my colleagues that I'm pretty sure will you'll find helpful. Not all of them, some will strike a chord with you. The first is stick with your one intention. And we're going to get really clear on what that intention is. Like um, later on when we do the three-step process. But it's just keep going back to your first intention because it doesn't need to be a discourse on all the aspects of grieving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could you give one example of an intention just so that
I
we,
want them to know I'm thinking about them.
Mhm.
I want them to know that they are being remembered, that
Mhm.
they're not alone.
Mhm.
Yeah. And yeah.
And I guess I'm supposed to remind everybody that it takes longer. It always takes longer and more attempts, drafts, versions than you think. So stick with it. But also, I imagine after this workshop, we'll have a little more clarity and sense of, what do like coming up with that intention, like I can imagine having like an urge of like wanting to contact someone who's grieving, or I'm thinking of like for me, I have a friend who just went through surgery. Like I know I'm thinking about them and like what do I want to say, and what do I want to convey about how I'm feeling towards them,
Yeah.
um, and that can get convoluted, right? Because I want them to feel a certain way or I want them to think a certain way as opposed to just me saying like what I'm thinking and feeling about
Right. And when we do the three-step process, we'll get into that so you can find your own intention.
them. Hmm.
Another thing I always do is I always write on a scratch paper or in a separate app
Hmm.
what I am gonna say. Even
Hmm.
emails, I always start somewhere else because if it's in the email program, I have a tendency to want to like get it out there already.
Hmm.
Whereas if I put it in a word processing program, I'm more likely to take the time that it needs.
Hmm. This is my favorite point is that to imagine speaking or writing to the kindest person in the world.
Yeah,
What would you tell them?
yeah.
Like,
And then another point is not everyone is a visual learner. Some people are very kinesthetic or auditory.
Mm-hmm.
Say it into a, a transcribing app. You know, send yourself a message where you have the transcription thing on and talk. And eventually keep talking all your ideas, no such thing as a dumb idea. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you've kind of purged all your ideas or backtracking or whatever, then go back and read it. And something is likely to jump out at you.
Mm.
So,
Well, and on that note, I guess you could, if writing wasn't like the right avenue, you could send a voice message.
yep,
Mhm.
yep,
Or speak to them. You could call and they could answer the phone and you could say, I'm thinking about you.
yep.
Mhm.
And
But it
then,
is really nice to get snail mail these days, though.
yeah,
Mm.
it's
Mm.
nice to get anything, though, when you're
Mhm.
grieving. If people are busy, the simplest little text does wonders for someone who's grieving. And then the last two, when you're sure your message is done, read it out loud. If you're a person who's been writing it, you would be amazed at what comes up when you say it out loud. It's like, oh my God, I would never say it like that. And you'll find things and you'll go back and correct yourself and it'll sound more like you.
Mm.
And and then when you're sure you're done with that, walk away for 5 minutes, do something else where you're not going to think about it. Come back and take a look at it, and you'll be amazed again. Oh my gosh, I thought it was done. Okay, I see a few things I could do here. So, all of this, I'll put this in the chat when we're going to use it, all these pointers. But all of this nets out to it takes a lot longer than you think, and don't be disheartened if it takes a lot longer than you think, because that's what writing is.
Mm.
Okay, so the other thing people said to me when I was interviewing them were, I'm just not so good saying condolences. I don't know what to say. And I developed a simple 3-step process to help people get out of the worry in their head and into their heart. Because if you tell someone, oh, just speak from your heart, it's like, gosh, if I knew how to do that, I'd be doing it already. So this little process will help access your heart. And the first step is, and we're going to do this together, but I'll tell you what the steps are. The first step is very counterintuitive. You take your focus off of your griever and you turn it on to yourself. Why do we do this? Because if we're anxious and we don't know it, or if we're upset with ourselves for being anxious and we don't know it, we're going to put that anxiety and that upset right into whatever we say. And it won't matter what words you have. You'll be passing along your unconscious feelings.
Mhm.
So focus on yourself. And then the second step is really important. Be kind, be curious. Imagine, focus on how you're feeling. Like, are you worried they'll cry if you say something to them, or they'll be mad? Are you so frustrated they're still grieving? Whatever you might be worried about, be curious and imagine and treat those feelings the same way you would treat a little child or a little kitten. Be kind, because it's that very kindness toward ourselves that allows us to be kind to someone who's breaking all of society's rules, crying in public, not answering our calls, um, just not able to attend things, being isolated, all the things that our culture says are wrong, that if we can be kind to ourselves and the things we think are wrong, we're very likely to be kind to the griever for whatever is coming up for them. And that will help you access your heart. And once you've done that, it'll be clear how to be a bridge over to the person who's grieving. So, we're going to do this. Would anyone here like to do this 3-step process together?
I will.
Okay, well, check it out. All right, get comfy where you're sitting and just take a few breaths, shake off whatever you were doing before you came or all the ideas we've been bouncing around here. And if you'd like to close your eyes or soften your gaze and think for a minute about the person that you came here to write or speak a condolence message to. And when you have them clearly in your mind, that one person or more than one person possibly, take your focus away from them and turn it on yourself and see, how do you feel about this process of wanting to say something? How do you feel about them? How does grieving make you feel? Mourning, the messy sides of mourning. Be curious about this and kind. Imagine you're asking a small child, what are your worries? All it takes is curiosity, and the worries soften and sometimes disappear. Sometimes putting a hand on your heart. Sometimes doing some breathing down through your body into the earth. Whatever way you have of stilling your mind and accessing your own authentic response to your grieving friend. And now imagine you are going to be a bridge over to them with your heart as it is in its open and vulnerable state. Think, what occurs to you? Does anything pop into your mind or your heart? And once you have that firmly in your heart, take a look at the 10, take a look at the chat, get a piece of paper, jot down your ideas of what you would truly like to say to them. just gaze through the chat for that one or two points that seemed like they might be helpful, and text or write or speak your message into your recording device. We'll give you a few minutes here to write your condolence note, and then we'll talk about it together.
I think the maybe we can think about coming back into the room.
I know we said it takes time, but unfortunately, we'll
It's a
need to,
petite
yeah,
present.
yeah.
How was that for our people? Edith, Heidi, Amy, Jennifer, me. I mean, you don't have to say, you could say what you wrote, or you could just say what it was like. Go ahead, Heidi. Mhm.
Oh, I was just gonna say, that was more difficult than I thought it would be. Um, when I should say difficult, but to pause and reflect as opposed to just word vomit all of the words. It took
Mhm.
a little bit more time to attach the pen to the paper.
Mm.
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about writing a note to someone that I didn't write a letter to, or a note for someone who had a loss of a parent a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and also a friend more recently who lost a pet. And
Mm.
so I realized that I don't always write a note when I
Mhm.
really should. So I was just thinking,
Mhm.
if I were to write, is it appropriate, number one, to write a note now after a couple years later? How about with somebody who I don't know very well, or even a relative, a cousin I met once, and I found out about it 2 years ago, and I was supposed to write a note to that person, and I didn't do that. So, what do you do about past, is sending a note to people that deserved a note from me at the time?
I'd say yes to all your questions. It's totally appropriate whenever you do it. If you want to say, I wish I'd done it sooner, but here I am. I mean, there's not even any need for that. Whenever you do it is perfect and it will be appreciated. Yeah. And
Who's in charge of the appropriate police? Like, who
yes,
determines this, like, what's appropriate, Like, I think that's all, but I think it's a great question, Edith, because I think that's why we're here, is because we don't really know, right? Like, we just can go by what we're feeling. And when I listened to you, I was like, it just sounded so, tender. You sounded so tender and wanting, like, for whatever, I don't want to assume, but like just to say, like, now you're ready, and like, because you're at this workshop and you thought of all these people or these two people or whatever, like, I, I think everybody here would say that if it were them, they would want to hear from you, but I don't
and
know. Like,
even for people you don't
mm-hmm,
know well,
mm-hmm,
because I would not assume that their friends have done the right thing or
mm-mm,
have reached out. I would not make that assumption because people are so afraid of grief that they
mm-hmm,
avoid it like the plague. So you may be the only one they hear from. And wouldn't that be a blessing for them?
mm-hmm,
Yeah. I wrote one to a colleague. I said, I know we don't know each other very well, but your loss s- sounds so hard that I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you. No
mm-hmm,
need to respond. Because it was a work friend. I didn't want to put her on the spot, you know? And I put it in a note and I left it. I gave it to her at the end of the day when I
mm-hmm.
knew she was going home. So if it would make her cry, she could do it out in the car. So thank you,
How
Edith.
about Amy or Jennifer? How was this for you?
The hardest part for me was finding a way to end it. I kept finding
Mm,
to say something else and say something else and find, the right words to end it, and I couldn't. So it's sort of, it won't be the final version, but it sort of trails off and
mm,
thinking about. what that's about. Wanting to say one more thing and one more thing. And
Sometimes even saying that, like I just think of 100 things I want to say, and then go back to your main point, which is, did you have, when you were doing the meditation, were you able to come up with one thing you want them to receive from you?
yeah, I think it was similar to what you had um, offered of wanting her to know that she and her um, partner whom she lost is I'm remembering them and thinking of them both. Um, and in the meditation, I had a lot of when I was focusing on how I felt, I had a lot of my own conflicting feelings toward the person that I'm writing to. And then it made me think about the conflicted feelings she might have about the partner that she's lost. And so that helped inform my writing a lot.
Ah, okay. That's great. Sometimes ending with that intention can be a way to kind of say, well, it all comes back to this, you know?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, sitting with it for a bit
mhm,
and remembering it doesn't have to be perfect. Anything you do will
mhm,
be better than nothing.
mhm.
I'm kind of in the same boat in that I don't know this couple that well. Um, we're casual acquaintances. Um, so I was feeling like, well, should I even? So
Mm,
thank you for that vote of confidence. They're, mid 30s, and I just don't think that age group typically does snail mail these days. So, it might be nice to get something in the mail.
mm.
Heidi, you waved. Are you saying?
Sorry. Um, I, as is almost not in the 30s anymore, but still in my 30s, I think it's so amazing to receive snail mail that's not uh, a bill. So,
Or an ad for something?
yes.
Thanks for that validation.
Mhm.
I love receiving things. Now I'm not in my 30s, but I would just think that everyone, it's like a gift because they know you took the time, you found a card, you wrote a message, you found a stamp, you went to the post office.
Effort, definitely. Well, I see we have like 2 minutes left, and I'm wondering, Mary, did you have anything? I don't want to put you on the spot. Did you write anything?
I
You
did.
or have, yeah.
I just wanted to say real quickly, I
Mhm,
really appreciate what Dana said about you don't know what that person might be experiencing from their own circle of family and friends. I know someone
mhm,
who lost his wife and, comes from a large family, has a big friend group. And I think to myself, yeah, I'm sure he's hearing from everybody, right? Maybe not just
mhm,
because he's surrounded by a lot of people. That doesn't mean that people take the time, to sit down and write to him. So I'm going to send my card. I was on the fence
mhm.
because I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't. I'm going to send it.
That's awesome. When in doubt, just do it.
Send it
Well, let me
out.
rephrase that. Remove the word just. When in doubt, do it because it's a process.
Mhm,
I guess that's the one takeaway from this Zoom session.
mhm.
Just do it.
Yeah. Any other last questions, comments, reactions?
And just one question about, I mean,
Sure.
I tended to want, because in my case it's a delay, it's been some time. Um, I wanted to start by apologizing. Do you recommend that? Like, I'm sorry that I hadn't written this sooner. I'm sorry or I didn't know how to share my feelings while you were grieving. Um, so I'm just wondering, being Japanese American, we have a tendency to apologize for everything, which is not always appropriate, you know.
Mm,
I think whatever you're feeling in your heart is appropriate. Like that second thing you said about I didn't know how, whatever
let's
that,
To
say,
share
yeah,
my feelings.
that was
yeah.
beautiful.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm, mhm,
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The only caution I would say there's a way of, and I don't think you're doing this, but it comes up a lot. People say, I'm sorry, and they want you to tell them they're okay.
There, it's
I
okay.
hope this is okay. I'm really sorry. And it's really a request for reassurance, which is a burden. You know,
Mm,
you're not trying to like burden them with telling you you're okay, when in fact you're the one trying to help them. So I
mhm,
know that's not what you were saying, but it reminded me of things that have come up in other groups.
mhm.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a request for reassurance. Mhm. Well, we shall end here, wishing you all a tender and loving holiday, and maybe we'll do something again. We'll talk and figure out. We have like a little group forming, a little grief, how to deal with grief group. So it's nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your
Yeah, everybody.
openness and willingness and showing up during a busy time of year.
Mhm.
And yeah, I wish
Yeah.
you I wish you all the best. I almost don't need to do that because you guys have moved through your heart and words to a beautiful place.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, everybody. Take care.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Mary.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.